Okay, ladies and gentlemen, welcome, and thank you for being here tonight. Okay, my name is Kenji, and I don't have a name tag. Thank you for being here tonight. Firstly, I'd like to announce the toilets are right at the back, to your right. And also, please feel free to grab a drink, but please be cautious of your trash. Thank you. Also, I'd like to give a shout out to our sponsors, Seiko Crystal, and Tan, and Yan, and Kenny is somewhere in the back. Yep, there he is. And thank you to I would pass you over to Yan, who will give you a few words.
Oh, sorry. Hey everybody, thank you so much for coming today. Hello to everyone on the live stream. I know we have quite a few people who wanted to be here tonight and wasn't able to make it. Thank you all so much for coming here. I know we are really strict on making sure everyone wears masks and disinfects, but thank you all so much for complying. We want to make sure that we're taking all the precautions that we can for coronavirus. So I have a few things I want to say. First, for those of you online and also for the people in the audience, you can ask questions to the panel on slido.com. So go to slido.com. The code is E209. And then you can type in questions. You can see the other questions that people are asking. So if someone's asked the same question, don't need to put yours in. And yeah, so we want to make this as interactive as possible with people here as well as people online. So please ask your questions on there. And our wonderful moderator, Serah, will be seeing all these questions, and she'll be able to ask the panelists. Also, this is specifically for the people on the live stream. We have also set up an online networking room. So for the people online, I have posted the link, and I'll post it again just to make sure. We are hosting an online networking session on spatial.chat, which is this really cool app that we recently discovered that allows you to have a very, close to real life kind of experience talking to people. So if you want to continue these awesome conversations online, you can do so on spatial.chat. The link will be posted on the Code Chrysalis pages. So yeah, and for those of you who don't know about Code Chrysalis, who's here for the first time ever? I see a lot of new faces. All right, cool. Sorry, yes, I forgot about the Japanese translation. Sorry. And I was telling them how to do translation.
Yeah, you were.
It's been a while, man. I've been in coronavirus days.
オンライン配信をご覧の皆様へ、もしパネリストに質問がありましたら、スライドを見て質問を受け付けておりますので、いつでも質問してください。コードは E209 です。また、このイベント終了後にネットワーキングセッションをオンラインでも設けてます。スペシャルチャットを使って、ネットワーキングセッションをしますので、ぜひそちらにもご参加ください。
Thank you. So for those of you who don't know about Code Chrysalis, we are a coding bootcamp in Tokyo. We teach people how to become software engineers. And so you might be wondering, why is a coding bootcamp hosting a panel discussion about race? Well, representation is incredibly important, and especially in tech. When you think about all the tech that runs our lives every day, we can't survive without it. It's how we connect with people. For most of us, it's how we earn a living. And so it's extremely important that the people making the tech that controls our lives in some ways, that makes decisions for us, that the creators are also representing the users. And as we know right now, the people creating the software and the tech that we use are not representative of the population.
Yeah. Thank you.
プログラミングブートキャンプを提供している会社です。
Representation is important. Representation is important. Should I keep going?
I don't know.
Okay.
Do you want to go?
Okay. So yeah, this is why we're doing an event like this, and we have a bunch of other upcoming events.
またこれからもこのようなイベントをしていきますので、またぜひご参加ください。
Yeah. So go and check us out if you have ever been intimidated to learn how to code, if you thought that coding wasn't for you, I want you to get rid of those limits that you're putting on yourself and give it a try. It's okay. Anyhow, thank you all so much, and I hope you enjoy this event that we have tonight. I'm going to pass it back to Kenji.
Thank you. All right, if you can't tell, we're very nervous. This is a deep conversation that affects all of us. And this event came together, organized by these two wonderful ladies, Serah and my beautiful sister, Seiko. And again, big thanks to the brains behind organizing Yan and for letting us use her space. Sorry.
ちょっとこの会場に多少緊張した空気が漂っているかもしれないんですけれども、やっぱりこのトピック的にすごく我々みんなに影響するすごく大切なトピックなので、今日の機会を持てて幸いです。で今日のこのイベントをプランしたのは、真ん中の女性2人ですね、セラさんとセイコさん、ケンジさんの、シスターだそうです。はい、そして、このスポンサーの皆さんありがとうございます。
Okay, I think we can't go into the conversation without establishing what racism is.
まずはちょっと人種差別という、言葉の定義から入っていきたいと思います。
But it is a difficult word to define.
ちょっとどういうふうにそれを説明するのかっていう定義をするのかっていうのは難しいところだと思います。
So I chose to tell you a story.
まずちょっとストーリーから始めます。
A short story. A true story. Good job.
これは私実際のちょっとしたストーリーを簡単に説明したいと思います。
So this is a story of a man called Ota Benga.
これオタベンガという男性のストーリーです。
This is early 1900.
で1900年時代。
So once on a hunting expedition, he came back to find his village and his wife and two kids murdered by the Belgian army.
で彼がですね、ある日狩りに行って家に帰ってきたら、彼の、奥さんと子供が、ベルギー人に殺害されているのを発見しました。
And here I'd like to read to you an excerpt of King Leopold II.
これからですね、そのベルギー人の、その当時の王のスピーチを一部を読みたいと思います。
Because this gives a broad idea of, in many ways, what racism is and what the blacks were to the white man.
これを読みたいと思ったのはですね、白人にとって黒人がどういうふうに見えているかというのを説明するのに適していると思ったからです。
This is not paraphrased. This is just a translated version. And I quote, Reverends, fathers, and dear compatriots, your principal objective in our mission in the Congo is never to teach the niggers to know God. This they already know. Your central role is to facilitate the task of administrators and industrials, which means you will interpret the gospel in the way it will be the best to protect your interests. You have to keep watch on disinteresting our savages from the richness that is plenty in their underground. Evangelize to the niggers so that they stay forever in submission to the white colonialists. Convert always the blacks by using the whip.
これはですね、1888年の、ベルギーのレオパルドを2世の、実際の言葉の一部です。スピーチですね、手紙ですね。我々の皆さん、同胞国の皆さん、あなたたちのこのコンゴでのミッションというのは、このニグロの人たちに神を教えることではありません。彼らはもう神の存在を知っています。あなたたちの使命は、この野蛮人たちが彼らの土地の地下に眠っている宝に気づかないように仕向けることです。そしてこのニグロが永遠に我々白人に服従するように仕向けることです。でもしも言うことを聞かなければ無知を使ってこの黒人たちを支配してください。
So this letter was written in 1883.
これは1883年に書かれた手紙です。
And it was discovered because a Congolese priest bought a second-hand Bible, and the Belgian priest who sold it to him forgot the letter in the Bible.
でこの手紙がなぜ発見されたのかと言いますと、コンゴ人のですね、牧師が、中古の聖書を購入したときに、もともとそれを使っていたベルギー人の、牧師が、聖書の中に手紙を挟んでいて、それを忘れていたということによって見つかりました。
Okay, I'll go back to my short story.
ちょっと元々のストーリーに戻ります。
Otabenga was a Congolese pygmy,
で、オタベンガさんはコンゴ人です。
and he was sold to an American missionary.
で、植民地の支配者たちに売られました。
And this missionary was in Congo at the time to hire blacks to exhibit in the US.
彼らはですね、後々にアメリカでこの黒人たちを売るためにコンゴにいました。
I repeat, he was a missionary.
彼らは牧師ですね。
So Otabenga helped this missionary to recruit other blacks, other Africans.
で彼らはですね、他の、アフリカ人たち、コンゴ人を、リクルートするのにも使われていました。
And in 1904, they were taken to the U.S.
で彼らは1904年にアメリカに連れて行かれました。
where they were used as exhibits in various places.
で彼らはいろいろなところで展示するために使われていました。
Notably in the American, the American, notably in the American Museum of National History.
でアメリカのですね、自然の、歴史のミュージアムですね、にて、展示されるのに使われました。
And much later in the Bronx Zoo.
でその後にはブロンクスにある動物園で展示されていました。
Okay, I chose this story for two main reasons.
でこの話をするのには2つの理由があります。
Because this man's story encompasses everything, every suffering the black has been through.
でこの人個人のですね、ストーリーというのは今、世界の黒人すべてが、体験している苦しみに共通しているので、この話をすることにしました。
I must say, I forgot to mention, I did mention he was a pygmy, and his teeth were sharpened.
で彼のですね、彼は少数民族なんですけれども、歯がですね、こう尖っているように削られていました。
This is just a ritual.
それは彼らの伝統でした。
And the American who bought him lied he was rescued from cannibals.
でそれについてですね、アメリカ人たちは、嘘のストーリーを作り上げて、彼が、猛獣から救われたので、歯がこういうふうに尖っているという説明をしました。
And this man was exhibited in the US as a cannibal.
で彼も、アメリカではですね、猛獣として展示されました。
But I chose his story because, as you could see on the picture, he was always very positive.
この写真から見えるかわからないですけれども、彼はですね、こんな状況の中でも常にポジティブな精神を持っていました。
He was very bright and amiable.
でとても明るい子でした。
This guy didn't even speak English.
で英語も喋れる男性でした。
He didn't even
he didn't,
speak.
sorry.
Yeah.
彼英語も喋れませんでした。
And the second point, so the first reason I chose the story is because he's been through everything the blacks have been through: murder, slavery, torture.
で殺人や奴隷にされるというすべての黒人の経験を彼がすべて経験してきました。
And the second reason is to us, is for us, the blacks. You know, sometimes it really is difficult. It really is hard to stay positive and amiable like he was.
で我々黒人にとってはこのような状況の中で彼みたいにポジティブな気持ちでいつもいるっていうことはすごく難しいです。
But I think the only solution is love.
でただ私はそれに対してのソリューションは愛だと思っています。
This man obtained his freedom because he was amiable. People saw his smiles in the zoo and started questioning, surely this is not a cannibal.
でこの男性がですね、なぜその後ですね、自由の身になったかというと、彼がすごく愛嬌があって誰に対しても笑顔でいたということで、彼は猛獣ではなく人間だっていうことが周りの人に伝わったということです。
So that's the only thing I could round up on. The only solution is love. These are tough discussions, but discussions we have to have. But I think love at the end of the day is the only solution.
もちろんですね、この現実についてしっかりと我々話していくっていうのはすごく大切なんですけれども、最終的なソリューションは愛だと思っています。
And now I'm going to move over to an icebreaker. And I'm going to have you, the panelists, and we all came up with questions that, profiling questions that we blacks, things that we are
used to hearing.
Yeah, used to hearing, or like just profiling stuff that we get every day. Okay?
じゃあ、これからまずちょっとアイスブレイカーとしてですね、すごく日常の中でいろいろ黒人に対して言われることとかっていうことについて話していきます。
So I'm just gonna, I can't raise all my fingers. I'm just gonna ask all of you to raise your 10 fingers.
でまず手を挙げてください。
Thank you.
両手を挙げてください。
And as I read through the points, please put a finger down if this situation applies to you.
でこれから私が言う質問に対して該当する方は、それ質問1個に対して指を1つずつ下げていってください。
Let the fun begin. So, please put a finger down if you've been stopped for a random check, even though you're doing nothing.
ただ道を歩いて何もしないときに、すごくランダムに止められた、警察に止められたことがある人。
Thank you. Please put a finger down if you've been told they would rather hire someone of a different race than you.
仕事を得るときに、他の人種の人を雇いたいなというふうに言われたことがある人。
Yeah, I can't put my fingers down, but best believe all my fingers will be down.
私はちょっと今手が使えませんが、全部下に下げる。
Okay, thank you. Please put a finger down if you couldn't find cosmetics in your shade.
自分の肌に合う化粧品ですね、ファンデーションとか見つけられることが見つけられなかった経験がある。
My finger won't be down.
私はちょっと化粧しないんで、これは関係ないです。
Thank you. Put a finger down if people asked you if you knew a complete stranger, just because that stranger was black.
で今まで全く知り合いでも関係ないのに、同じ黒人だからというだけで、この人知り合いですかって聞かれたことがある人。
Small world, you never know. Okay, put a finger down if someone avoided or left a seat close to you on the train or on a bus.
電車やバスの席でですね、あなたのおそらくあなたの人種がということで、隣の席をあえて開けられた人。
This is before the corona.
コロナの前の話ですね。
So we were lucky during the corona.
Yeah, we were.
Okay, sorry. Put a finger down if you've been called a monkey.
今まで猿と呼ばれたことがある人。
Or you've had mimics of a monkey, or a sound or whatever. Put a finger down if people have asked you if you lived in a tree back home.
地元、実家で木の中に住んだことがあるかと聞かれたことがある人。
This applies to my African brothers in the house. No African brothers in the house.
They are behind you, bro. All over
Okay,
you.
Put a finger down if people have asked you if you're American.
ア
Especially
メリカ
Japan,
人か
just
と
because you're
聞かれた
black.
ことがある人。
Just because you're black. This applies to Japan. This is
これはちょっと日本に特定した話なんですけれども、肌が黒いだけであなたアメリカ人ですかと聞かれたことがある人。
okay. This is interesting. Put your finger down if someone has asked or touched your hair without permission.
で、あなたに触っていいですかと聞く前に、いきなりあなたを髪を触られたことがある人。
Thomas. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry.
I love you, bro. I love you.
Sorry. Oh my God.
Okay. I could go on and on.
もっとこれ続けようと思えば続けられます。
And we could go to the digits of our feet as well. But if your fingers are up, this gives you an idea of what we have to go through on a daily.
これでですね、今手が全く指が一本も下がらなかった人とかっていうのですね。
Oh, I'm sorry.
我々が毎日経験していることがどんなことか少しイメージがついたかと思います。
ごめんなさい。手を下ろしていいですか? You can put down your
手を
hand.
下ろして
Yeah.
大丈夫です。
And yes, I'll pass you over to Serah, who would conduct today's discussion.
Intro.
I'm sorry. She's going to introduce us because I'm sorry. As you could tell, I'm nervous. I was going to start tonight with a minute of silence, so I will go back to that. Could we all stand for a minute of silence for George Floyd?
すみません、ちょっと私もですね、今日は緊張しているの
And
が
every
皆さん
other
に伝わ
person.
るかと思うんですが、まず黙祷から本当は今日始めたかったので、今させてください。
Thank you. Please be seated. Now I hand over the mic to the beautiful Serah, and she will do her thing.
ちょっと本日のイベントの主催者のさらに引き継ぎしたいと思います。
She would introduce tonight's speakers and take it from there.
本日のスピーカーの方々をご紹介します。
Hi everyone. Thanks so much for coming tonight, and thank you everyone who's watching online for tuning in. Before we're going to introduce the guest speakers, Seiko is going to tell you why we decided to do this event and why we thought it's really important to bring everyone together, especially Japanese people, to have a better understanding on
皆さん、今日参加してくださっている皆さん、オンラインの皆さんありがとうございます。ちょっとこれからスピーカーを紹介する前に、なんで今日のイベントをやろうかと思ったという説明したいと思います。
Hey everybody. Wow. It's not energy, eh? Yeah, it's such a, I think all of us kind of, it's already
been such an intense beginning, I feel. For me, I was getting so emotional with everything in the story. But hi, my name is Seiko. I am Cameroonian Japanese, and I moved to Japan in 2007. Just to explain, actually, the reason I started this event, or that it even crossed my mind, is my beautiful friend at the end, Moiko, who keeps my nails on point all the time. Please go to her if you want. She's amazing. So she actually wasn't working in that day, but she came in intentionally because she knew I was coming in. And we spent about, even after doing my nails, 1.5 hours when everybody else had gone. And she was asking lots of questions about the BLM movement, being Black in Japan, my experience. And it really touched me because it made me realize that there are a lot of people who have questions, who have doubts, but can't really voice it because they feel like, oh, this is not my tachiba, this is not my position. Oh, my goodness, I'm so sorry. Go ahead.
私はですね、カメルーン人と日本人の両親を持つセイコと言います。で今日のイベントを開催しようと思ったのです理由はですね、奥にいるちょっと萌子さんという方がいらっしゃるんですが、彼女が私のネイリストでいつもネイルをやってくださるんですが、彼女、最近ですね、ネイルサロンに行った後に、なんかネイル終わった後に、この最近日本でも耳にするブラックライブズマターについて、すごいたくさんの質問を私に聞いてきたわけです。
And I think there was just a time we both broke down crying because she realized, like, as a Black, what we have to face, and she couldn't understand it.
でそれ彼女はこの質問する前はなかなか理解ができなかったんですけれども、話していくことによってもう2人とも本当に涙するようなことが起こりました。
But it was such a powerful moment for me because as a Blasian, I have to identify with both, but the truth is I was born and raised in Cameroon, so I identify most with my Black side. No offense to my Japanese side.
で私はですね、ブラックとアジアのミックスなんですけれども、育ちはカメルーンなので、どちらかというと、ブラック側の方を意識する、感じることが多いです。
And so I just thought, like, yeah, why not create a space where people can just have a very honest, earnest, deep, tough conversation. We need those, actually.
なので、すごく難しい、本当に深い話題なんですけれども、それについて話す議論の場を作りたいと思いました。
And we need to be able to knock heads and ask those tough questions that people just feel like it's not their position to ask. Let's do that. Let's have those conversations.
で特にですね、実際に自分が体験してない人はすごく質問しにくい内容だと思うんですけれども、そういうことも話せる場を作りたいと思いました。
And I have no problem against protests or marches, but the truth is, what next? What can we do to actually change mindsets? What can we do to change people's lifestyles? Because that, in the end, is what changes this situation at the end of the day.
もちろんプロテストでもすごく大切だと思うんですけれども、それよりもさらにですね、こうやってしっかり話すことによって人々のマインドセットですね、考え方、日々の生活を変えていくことの方がさらに大切だと思っています。
And so after work one day, I hooked up with Serah. And I told her, hey, I'm thinking about this, and you've had experience being an awesome moderator for other stuff, and and we were funny. We were stupid, actually. Go ahead, I'll tell you why.
ちょっとある日仕事が終わった後にサラがすごくこういうイベントのモデレーターする経験をたくさん持ってるのを知ってたので彼女に話しかけました。
And we were funny because we were like, yeah, we're gonna do something like just 15 people. It's gonna be cute, just sit around, and then within under 14 hours we had over 80 something sign-ups, and we didn't not know what to do with ourselves.
でそれでですね、ちょっと面白かったのが、最初はですね、本当に15人ぐらいの小さなイベントを考えてたんですけれども、このイベントしますって決めた14時間後にはもう50人とか80人ぐらいの大勢の人から申し込みがあって、すごくどうしようっていう感じでした。
But we are dedicated to this movement. We are dedicated to informing and I don't want to say educating because it's not like we're pros or anything, but we are definitely going to use our experience to share what we know and help you understand what it is walking in our shoes.
で我々のですね、経験を通してですね、これについて皆さんの理解を深めるということをもっとしていきたいと思いました。
So please, thank you so much for coming. It means a lot to us actually, just seeing, because people think 846 is a huge organization. It's just two of us. And Yan was helping, and Kenji, and all the speakers also were helping promote it, but it's literally just a 4 or 5 person thing, So it's amazing because I was dealing with the list and I see your names and I finally can put a face to your name, and it's I really like that. So thank you so much for coming. It means a lot to us.
本当に皆さんが今日ここに来てくださったのすごく本当に感謝してますし、とても意味のあることです。で本当に846っていうこの団体ですね、すごい大きな団体かと思ったかもしれないんですけれども、本当に私たち2人と、協力者がいて成り立ってる団体です。
Thank you so much.
Thank you. So I'm going to start. I'm going to start introducing the guest speakers. So you already met Seiko. So Seiko is she's one of the co-founders of Awa'Tori. Who knows Awa'Tori? It's a cultural exchange program between the African diaspora in Japan. It's a fashion and cultural exchange. And one of the other co-founders is also there. At the door, you're probably met her. So Seiko was born and raised in Cameroon and came to Japan in 2007. So it's been quite some time. So she had 2 experiences in Japan and back in Africa and Cameroon. Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
そうですね、まず聖子さんですね。聖子さんは、カメルーンで生まれ育って2007年に日本に引っ越してきました。で、今アワトリというですね、日本在住かアフリカ出身の人たちのコミュニティの文化と、ファッションを、のエクスチェンジのですね、団体
一応ですね、ファッションとカルチャー、文化ですね。はい、画面です。
And we have Warren Stanislaus is from East London. He's a PhD candidate from Oxford University. I've been living in Tokyo for over 10 years, and he's currently teaches transnational intellectual, cultural history as an associate lecturer at立教 University.
でワレンさんはですね、イーストロンドン出身で、もう東京でですね、もう10年ぐらい、立教大学で、教鞭を取られています。で文化ですね、文化の、歴史について教鞭されています。
Then we have Oulichan Gueye. She's a Senegalese living in Japan since 2010. She is currently working at an educational non-profit and tries to promote and exchange learning with the African diaspora. She's also a co-founder of Jaspora, a community geared to promoting different aspects of the African diaspora in Japan as well.
でオリさんはですね、セネガル出身で、日本には2010年から住んでいます。今は、教育系の NGO で働いているんですが、それと同時にですね、日本のアフリカ出身のコミュニティのダイアスポラを集めた、コミュニティジャスポラの代表でもあります。
Then we have Miles Davis. He's from Baltimore and he's an international social entrepreneur, expanding 2 of his brands, which you can get today. Superior Shea and the Superior, as well as serving as an educator about cultural and society around the world.
でマイルスさんは、アメリカのバルテモア出身です。で彼は、国際的な、社会起業家で、スペリアシア、そしてスペリアという、ブランドを今、持っています。で同時にですね、世界中で文化について、エデュケーター、教育者として、活躍されています。
So when we were deciding for the guest speakers, it was really important for us to get a lot of people from the African diaspora, so Africa, USA, Europe. I'm from Germany, so we have really different types of cultures within the Black communities and also different types of experiences. So it's not just one experience, but really different types and across the world. So that's why we chose the best guest speakers we could find.
で今日はですね、ブラックコミュニティの中でも、すごくいろんな多様性を持ちたいなと思ったので、サラ自身はドイツ出身ですし、アフリカ出身の人もいますし、アメリカ出身の人もいて、いろいろなミックスの、経験になっています。
Okay, so I'm going to start with the questions.
早速質問に移りたいと思います。
So the question goes to all of you, so all of the guest speakers. When did you become aware of others having more privilege than you?
で自分よりも他の人、周りの人の方が特権を持っているなと気づいた瞬間はいつでしたでしょうか？
Want to go first, Warren? I think you can just speak in.
Oh, okay. Can everyone hear me at the back?
Can you
Okay.
translate?
Yeah.
Oh, you don't need the mic.
Okay. So everyone, thanks again for coming here, and I think that's a very provocative question because to say, I mean, we're all sitting here in Tokyo. We're very privileged to be here, right? I'm privileged to be here. So for me to say, oh, other people have more privilege than me, that may get some people angry, right?
僕はここにいる時点で特権を持っているというふうに思っています。
But let me just use a different story from my own experience to try and give a sense of what an aspect of privilege can be. And I will summarize that by saying, I think a big part of privilege is that you can be defined as an individual rather than being defined by your race.
個人で定義されるよりも、人種によって定義される、特権について話をしていきます。
So, for example, I am a PhD student at the University of Oxford, and I'm sitting in one of these Harry Potter-like dining halls.
私はオックスフォードの PhD、を取得してました。
で、なんていうそのオックスフォード大学のハリー・ポッターのような食堂に座っている人、自分ではい、その大学の食堂に座って、なんかその他の学生と一緒にまあ語り合ってるんですね。その食事をしながら。
Can you just do that? Just
Yeah. And then I will explain to someone how I've lived in Japan for 10 years, how I'm doing a PhD in Japanese history, in 19th century history, how I've also already graduated from the university in a master's degree doing Japanese. で、僕がその隣に座っている人と自分の自己紹介しているときに、僕は10年間ぐらい日本に住んでいますと。そして19世紀の日本の風刺画の研究をしていると。そして、もうすでにオックスフォード大学の修士課程を持っている。それは日本研究です。And then that person will come back to me and say, do you go to this university? Or are you studying African studies? Or, I think it's okay. Or do you sing and dance? で、これよくあることなんですけど、僕はもうすでに何回ももう30分ぐらい自分はどんだけ、もう何年間も日本のことを勉強しているのに、その相手の方が、あなたはアフリカ研究をしているんですか？もしくは、あなたは歌がうまいんですか？ダンスできるんですか？他は何だったっけ？この大学のものですか？隣の大学のものじゃないんですか？すごい疑われるんですね。Okay. So what happens is that they are making these certain stereotypes about who I am based on, they don't even listen to me of what I'm saying. The only thing that matters to them is how I look before they judge who I am. つまりもう僕はもう何十分も何時間も説明しているのに、もう一番その人にとって大事なのが僕の外見ですね。その肌が黒いっていうのが、僕の存在を表しているっていうことですね。その人にとっては。And I'll just summarize this so we can get on to other people. But imagine, for me, that's okay because I have economic privilege. So I'm fine most of the time, right? But imagine if I was to be in, let's say we're talking about the United States, if I was running down the street in a hoodie just for exercise. まあ僕はね、先ほどおっしゃったように、僕はまあ今東京にいるし、すごく一流の大学に通っている。だからまあそういうある程度僕はその先ほど今話しているプリビレッジ、僕はそういうある程度は持っているんですね。だから僕は守られている、ある程度。だけど僕が、私がアメリカに行ったとしたら、そして僕はまあ運動しているとき、ジャージを着ている、で走っている。And then what if a policeman came over and saw me running in a hoodie? Just think about that situation. They probably potentially have those same stereotypes. Is this person good at dancing? Are they good singer? But also think about what other biases that they have. It's hard to translate for yourself, isn't it? でもし、まあ、今私たちがそのアメリカの話をしてるんじゃないですか、アメリカだけの話じゃないんですけど、そのアメリカの警察官が僕を発見すると、その方が同じような偏見を持っていることになると、私はその場合はどうなるんでしょうかっていうのを皆さんに考えて、いただきたいと思っています。
Hi everybody. Hi. For me, I kind of want to rephrase the question. When did I first become aware of, and it doesn't have to be my personal experience for me to know that this is happening to people that look like me. It could be just the experience of my sister or my cousin that's living in a complete different country. And I can easily put myself in her shoes and know that had I been in that same situation, sorry, I speak fast. This would have happened to me.
でこれに関してはですね、私個人の体験じゃなくても、私の姉、海外に住んでる姉とか、家族の経験を聞くだけでももう十分自分のことのようにして感じることです。
And I think the first time I really realized that we had less opportunities than other races was seeing all these headlines about the first black person, the first black woman, the first this, the first that. And being also the only black young student in my college, the first African student in my college. And obviously, economic situations and geographical locations can make a difference in these things, but you can't help but think at that point in time that race has had something to do with this, because they can be two different people in the same country, with the only difference being in their names and race. They can have the same qualifications and the same background, but the other race will be privileged over the other one. And I think that was a very obvious proof that the skin of your color can really affect what you have access to in terms of employment, in terms of education.
一番最初に感じたのはですね、いろんなニュースのタイトルがですね、もうヘッドラインの部分が、黒人初の誰々、黒人初の大統領とか、黒人初、この大学の中で黒人の一人目とか、そういう内容がすごく多かったんですね。で、あとそれに加えてですね、もちろんその経済的なところですとか住んでる場所によってもちろん特権っていうのは変わってくるんですけれども、同じ状況にいる中で明らかにやっぱり人種によって教育や経済のアクセス、職へのアクセスが違うなというのを感じました。
For me, so I'm a Black American, and I think for myself, I had a particular experience that might have been a bit different from other than a lot of my Black friends that I grew up with or some in my immediate neighborhood. So I'm from Baltimore, primarily Black neighborhood, and however, around third grade, I went to a private independent school, and to go to this school, it kind of showed that, well, giving my parents' background, my parents worked in corporate America and then decided that they wanted to start their own business. So, which was also different from a lot of people in my immediate surroundings. So, because of that,
で で、私の場合はですね、アメリカ人としての、経験について話したいと思います。私が生まれ育ったのは、バルチモアという場所の、圧倒的に黒人が多い地域で育ちました。が、3年生の時にですね、私立の学校に転校して、それによって状況が変わりました。あとちょっと我々、私の両親はですね、サラリーマンから、経営者という立場になったので、ちょっとその周りにいる人たちの状況とは少し違いました。
And going to this private independent school, I realized that I had a bit more privilege than a lot of my black friends in my neighborhood.
で、この、私立の高校に行った時に、私立の学校に行った時に気づいたのは、自分は他の黒人より、アフリカ系アメリカ人よりは特権を持っているなというふうに気づきました。
And in the same retrospect, like going to this private independent school, which actually historically is old slave plantation lands, so where my school was. And so when I went there, it was a predominantly white institution.
でも、私が行った私立校はですね、もともと植民のプランテーションの上に建てられた学校だったので、もともともうほぼ全員白人の学校でした。
So yes, and so going there, like I realized, wow, like a lot of my white classmates like have 2 houses in the Hamptons and Kiwi Island, and their houses are humongous. And so seeing those things, I was like, wow, maybe they have more privilege than I did.
で、まず一番最初に気づいたのは、私のその学校の白人の友達は大体みんな家を2つ以上持っていて、すごく大きな家を持っていました。で、その時に初めて彼らは自分よりも明らかに特権を持っているなというふうに気づき始めました。
So for me, like understanding privilege, I think it comes down to like race and class for like a lot of it.
で、特権についてはなので人種というのと、あと、階級が両方関係あるなと思っています。
So personally, I'm just gonna keep it short, sorry. Personally, I can obviously just speak for myself, but as a black, a Blasian, and a woman, I think already I would talk about the professional milieu, because that's when I actually really realized that, okay, I am definitely different. I think the first time I felt out of place was when I came to Japan, because back home we have this, I remembered.
Oh, it's fine. It's good.
Okay, great. So I think the first time I felt out of place was when I came to Japan, because in Cameroon, obviously, I can speak only for Cameroon because that's where I lived, but we have a way of really integrating people. People feel like part of community, even if you're different.
私は、ちょっと個人的な体験なんですけれども、私は、ブラックとアジアのミックス、そして女性という立場で、居心地が悪いなというのを体験をしたのは日本に来てからが初めてでした。それは特に仕事の環境について、感じることが多かったです。で、カメルーンではですね、結構人種とかいろいろ違うことがあっても、すごくうまくコミュニティを形成する文化があったので、日本で初めてこういった経験をしました。
And so I came to Japan and I actually do speak 4 languages, and I wanted to use that as a tool. And so I was thinking, oh, what do I want to do? I passed a test as a flight attendant with Emirates, but my dad was scared of Dubai, so that died quickly.
でまず私が、最初に日本に来た時はですね、私、4つの言語を喋れるのでそれを活用したいなと思いまして、まずエミレーツ航空の、フライトアテンダントとしての仕事に受かったんですけれども、ちょっと父が、ドバイを怖がっていたので結局その仕事はしませんでした。
Actually, for all my African brothers there, we can add pidgin there, so 5 languages. Let's do that. Because it's an official language. Let's claim it.
ちょっとアフリカ特有の、アクセントを入れると5つの言語を喋れるってことです。
So anyway, so I applied for a job at Narita Airport. Can I mention this is like calling out? Please. Please. Anyway, so I applied for a job there, and you know how it is here in Japan. So it goes from すいません、少々お待ちくださいませ。すいません、少々お待ちくださいませ. And that happened about 5 times. And the last person who came on the line told me, well, we're sorry, we don't hire Africans.
It was on the phone.
Yes, this was on the phone.
それでですね、次にしようと思ったのが空港での仕事に電話でちょっと応募しようと思ったんですけれども、何度も少々お待ちくださいとたらい回しにされた結果ですね、最後に電話に出た人に、すみませんが、アフリカ人は雇用しておりませんというふうに言われました。
So trust me, coming from Cameroon where you see, I mean, we had missionaries, we had foreigners all the time, but I never grew up, and I think, shout out to my parents who probably will not watch this because they're not really tech there, but I really love the fact that they brought us up in such a way that they made us embrace both our sides so well that I never looked at a white person and thought, man, you're different. No, I never felt that. And even in Cameroon, that's how it is. It's just, we're all the same, man. The same blood runs, well, not the same blood, but blood runs in our veins, so we're both humans, and that's how I saw people.
でこの経験はですね、すごく私にとってはすごいショックな経験でした。カメルーンでは、文化的にも、あとそして多分我々の両親の教育っていうのもあったんだと思うんですけれども、カメルーンにいる、白人の宣教師とかですね、を見ても、私はなんか白人とか思うことは全くなく、本当にその肌の色関係なしに人を見るように育ってきました。
So I think, yeah, that was actually the first time I realized, wow, being African, my being black is an issue and will be an issue, especially in the professional milieu, not to mention being a black woman. So yeah, that was the first time. Not really the first time, but one of the first times, you know.
その時に初めて、自分が、アフリカ人、そして、女性であるということがどれだけ自分のキャリアにとって悪影響であるかということを感じました。
Thank you, everyone. So for the people watching online, you can be part of the conversation. If you go on slido.com, the code is E209 and ask your questions and yeah, be part of the conversation. So when we're talking about race, let's make one thing clear. There's only one race. So that's a very big misconception. There's only one race. That's the human race. And there's a lot of ethnicities, so Black, Asian, Caribbean. So if you talk about race, please keep in mind there's only one race. So yeah, just want to clarify that. So let's keep on going. So the second question was, we know that Japan is heavily influenced by American culture. And sometimes, most often, the slangs Black people use to communicate in between each other are often appropriated. So, for example, one Japanese man asked Black people saying the N-word, why can't I say it? I still don't understand why I, a non-Black person, can't say the N-word.
日本においてもですね、この、ブラックカルチャーを、なんていうんですかね、気軽に、軽率に使う人たちっていうのが多くいまして、で、N ワードって英語で言うのはちょっと今カタカナで言うんですが、N ワードっていうのは、英語で言うとニガーですね、とか、カタカナでニグロって言葉を黒人は使っていいのになんで自分たちは使っちゃいけないのかっていう質問をよく日本人もします。
So maybe like one or two of you, could you please explain to our audience online and in person why especially the usage of N-word is taboo for non-Blacks and where the term originally originated from? Yeah.
なんでこの言葉がタブーであるのか、そして、どこからこの言葉が派生してきているのかということについて説明をお願いします。
So, the N-word came from a time from slavery where white colonizers would use this word to dehumanize, berate, embarrass, humiliate Black people to make them feel like they were less than. It is a derogatory term.
でまずこの言葉はですね、植民地時代に白人が、黒人を蔑むために使っていた言葉でした。
One reason that non-Black people should not use the word is that the word is inherently violent towards Black people. I'll say again. The word is inherently violent towards Black people.
でなぜ、黒人以外の人たちがこの言葉を使うべきでないという理由はですね、この言葉自体がもう暴力的なすごい深い意味を持っているからです。
And I think through hip hop and through Black culture, we've decided that we wanted to reclaim this word and reuse it to something that shares, that Black people can share a similar, who can share a similar experience with, can use or decide to use this word to have a meaning that is less degrading, not berating, not humiliating, but something where you can feel and share a common experience with through this word.
でですね、この、ヒップホップの、歌詞の中でこの言葉が聞こえてくると思うんですけれども、なぜそういうふうになっているかと言いますと、特にアメリカに住んでいる、黒人のコミュニティの中で、もともと持っているこの言葉の意味、すごくもう人を蔑むという言葉の意味を変えるわけではないですけれども、それを少し変換して、自分たちが共有している経験を、持つ言葉としてちょっと使い方を変えて自分たちの言葉にしていっています。
So it is dangerous for non-Black people to use this word because they do not share the Black experience. And that's, for me, my understanding of it. I think that is one of the most important. You should not use this word because you do not share the Black experience.
一番わかりやすい説明として、黒人以外の人っていうのはこの言葉が持つ意味の共通のですね、経験をしたことがないので、この言葉を使うべきではないということです。
Actually, I just thought of a story. There's actually a dude in Japan who had the N-word. He's Japanese. He had the N-word in his name, and he followed me and was like, "Yo, man, like, I love hip hop. I love rap. Like, respect for Black people."
でこれちょっと私の個人的な日本での経験なんですけど、Facebook でですね、日本人の男性でこの N ワードを自分の名前、Facebook の名前の中に入れてる人からフレンドリクエストが来まして、なんかもう黒人尊敬してるぜ、ヒップホップだぜみたいなメッセージが来ました。
Yes, and I talked to him in my best Japanese that I could. Lord, I have patience. But I told him, if you respected Black people, you would understand that this word is inherently violent towards Black people, and you should not be using this word. However, he refused to change his name because I think quite oftentimes a lot of people who are in close proximity to Black people, this guy probably had one like mixed Black Japanese friend, and was like, it's okay, you can use it. Maybe some of those people feel like it's okay to use it because one person gave them authority to. However, it's not okay.
でですね、私、すごく憤ってる中でもすごく丁寧に日本語で説明しようとしまして、あなたは、本当に黒人を尊重するのであれば、この言葉を使うべきでないって説明したんですけれども、彼はその後も、名前を変えませんでした。でそれでおそらく理由としては、きっと彼は、彼のコミュニティの中で一人ぐらい、黒人とのハーフの友達が一人いる。で、彼一人がたまたまこれ使っていいよっていうふうに言ったということでも、その許可を得たというふうに勘違いしてしまっているからです。
That's all for me.
Okay, so I'm just gonna say this. I used to be a teacher before, and one thing I would say, which is very simple and straight to the point, inform yourself before doing stuff. You cannot use a word if you don't know the background. And if you're not sure about the background, research. There is Google. And I mean, Google will not give you extensive information sometimes, but the least you can do when you're not sure is research.
で私もともとはですね、教師の仕事をしていましたので、簡単に言いますと、まず、そもそも自分が言葉の意味がわからなかったら Google 検索してくださいというシンプルなことです。
Yes, very simply so. And I think the truth at the end of the day is there's a quote by Abraham Lincoln that I absolutely love. And he says, "It's better to be silent and be thought a fool than to open your mouth and remove all doubt." So, if you think you don't know the use or the meaning of nigger or negro, just don't use it. And don't think, like Mal said, just because you have one random friend who tells you, oh, it's okay, I don't mind. He's not speaking for the rest of us. And I'm sure, unfortunately, I don't mean this in any bad way, but the truth is he might not even know better. So it's your position now as a friend. Like I said, if another reason why this started is because people ask questions before actually calling yourself and seriously? I mean, I have no question, I have no comment, but yeah, that's all I had to say.
What was the first line of the quote? If you're silent.
Better to remain silent, better remain silent and be thought a fool than open up your mouth and really fall doubt.
で私のこれについてすごい表しているアブラハム・リンカーンの言葉がありまして、発言せずにバカと思われるよりも、発言してバカなことを言うよりはいいっていうクオートがあります。で、言葉の意味とか、なんかちょっとでも疑問を持ったら、まずは質問するところから始めようっていうところに行き着くと思います。
So we have one question from one of our audience online. So he asked, or she, I don't know, asked, what do you think of the use of the word negro, black and Spanish, in the speaking community? So, like negro is black in Spanish.
In the what community?
In the Spanish community.
In Spanish language, but that's a language. To be honest,
すみません、ちょっとオンラインからの質問なんですけれども、スペイン語のコミュニティで、同じ言葉を、N ワードネグロっていう、スペイン語で言うとそうなんですけれども、そのスペインのコミュニティではどういうふうな定義という意味合いになってますでしょうか？
That's simply the name of a color. I don't think we can go to an extent of asking an entire language to change, a word. And it's not always what you say, it's how you say it. So if he's looking at a blackboard and he wanna say the blackboard is black in Spanish, I don't think there's anything to do about that. And like my personal opinion is, I don't even think Black Africans actually should be using the word, to be honest, because it's all in the connotations and into the lived experience, like he said earlier. So before you say the word, and if you have any doubt, like she said it, just don't use it. As for the terms, it's just the color, like it's just the name of the color in Spanish. I don't think we can change or do anything about that.
またちょっと質問の訳が間違ってたんですが、スペイン語で黒色っていう、普通に色のことをもうスペイン語でネグロっていうことについてどう思うかってことだったんですけども、それに関しては、これは本当にただの言葉であり、黒色っていう言葉を表している言葉がたまたまそうだったってことなので、そこについてちょっと質問するというのはちょっと意図が違うかなという感じがします。で、これについてはその言葉をどういうふうに使うか、どのような状況でどのように使うかっていうことの方が大切かと思います。で、この N ワードに関しては私はそのアフリカの黒人も使うべきでないと思ってます。これなぜかというと、これはアメリカにいる黒人の経験なので、アフリカにいる人はまた違う経験を持っているので、疑問があれば使わないということです。
Thank you. So we've been hearing a lot, especially the last 2 months, about like racism there, racism that. But what is racism? So there are 4 dimensions of racism. So institutional, structural, interpersonal, and internalized. Yeah, internalized. So could maybe one of you each explain what those are? What is the structural dimension of racism? So we understand that term first before we continue the discussion.
You said institutional and structural.
Internalized,
and interpersonal.
Interpersonal. Yeah.
Okay. この 1,2 ヶ月でですね、人種差別についてよく話題に出るようになったんですけれども、その中でも4種類の差別について話していきたいと思います。組織的、構造的、対人的、そしてインターナライズドというのですね、個々が内面に持つ内面化した人種差別について話したいと思います。
So I'm going to start with structural. I think that's the mother of all of them.
まず元々の一番大きなところは構造的差別だと思いますので、そこから始めたいと思います。
I think not to go into full-on pieces about this thing. I think simply put, structural racism is just the normalization of a society in different aspects, be it historical, interpersonal, institutional, cultural, to favor a certain group of people over others. So you have more advantages just because you're of a certain race or a certain class over other people because they're not the same. I think a very good example or an easy way for you to imagine that would be what's happening in the US. Advantages are for the white, privileges are for the whites, but not the case for the blacks. So it's putting one race or one group of people at an advantage and disadvantaging the others. I would say in Cameroon, again, sorry, I'm so sorry.
ちょっとまず、構造的人種差別において、シンプルに言いますと、これは、一定の人種を他の人種よりも、優位に扱うということですね。これは文化的にも歴史的にも、そういうふうに扱うのをもう普通のことにしてしまっているということで、アメリカの黒人と白人の差を見れば明らかだと思います。
And talking from a personal point of view, in Cameroon, we have actually some sort of like a civil war going on. And the structural racism that is in that is because a group of people speak French and the other group speak English. And so the French-speaking group thinks, oh, the English-speaking people are not so important, so we are going to try to minimize them or diminish them. That in itself is also structural racism.
でカメルーンの私の個人的な例でカメルーンの例で言いますと、フランス語喋る人たちと英語喋る人たちがいるんですけれども、フランス語喋る人たちの方が英語喋る人たちよりも明らかに優位に扱われていることで、内政にもつながるような問題になっています。
And I think, to be honest, let's face it, I feel structural racism exists pretty much everywhere. It just transcends everything.
でこの構造的人種差別っていうのは本当にもう世界中どこでもあると思っています。
So I think when we talk about the terms, I think there's lots of overlap between institutional and structural racism. But I'll just give a very simple example to start off with of institutional racism, which is, for example, we had in the past slavery, and then we had apartheid in whether it's South Africa or also in the US through Jim Crow laws, which was enforcing segregation, i.e. so the laws, so the institutions allowed racism to take place, or they perpetuated racism. So that's just to begin.
組織的人種差別と構造的っていうのはちょっと混ざってしまうこともあるんですけれども、まず組織的から言いますと、組織の一例としては奴隷制度ですね。あと南アフリカのアパルトヘイトが、これはもう法律の中でその人種に対する扱いがもう決まってしまっているという例です。
And I mean, Japan is maybe lots of other foreigners here can relate. In Japan, if you're looking for an apartment, they'll say, where are you from? And it's not just about where you're from, it also could be your specific, or the fact that you're a foreigner rather. That firstly they'll say, oh no, because you're a foreigner. But they also may say, oh, which nationality are you as well? And so the laws don't protect us foreigners here when we're trying to get an apartment. The institutions are allowing that racism or kind of nationalism to take place.
これ日本の例で言いますと、我々外国人が日本で住むところを探すときですね、まず、外国人なので、どこ出身ですかっていう、国籍の部分を必ず問われてしまうというのは、そこに対する、それを組織的に社会的に許されてしまっているということで、それに関しては我々は法律には守られていません。
But these things are kind of visible, right? They're easy to see.
でこれはすごい分かりやすい目に見える差別です。
Now the question is, in today's society, especially from the middle of the 20th century, we have laws in place that stop discrimination and supposedly promote equality. So we don't have the same situation we're in before, right?
で20世紀後半からに関してはそういった差別がないような平等な社会になるようにという法律は作られてきていますので、それは過去とは違う状況です。
But we still have the same situation whether on a micro scale in, for example, the UK or the US, where it seems that lots of black and brown people don't have the same wealth, don't have the same educational opportunities, seem to be in prison potentially more, seem to die of coronavirus more. And so we have to ask ourselves, why is that?
ですね、そのように、法律上では過去とは、違う状況であるはずなのに、今の現在でも肌が黒い人ですねが、資産を持っているの資産が少なかったりとか、牢屋に入っている人が多かったりとか、今回のコロナでも、コロナにかかる人は、有色人種の方が多いっていう状況があります。
And so we have two arguments basically now. One, it's because they're lazy. They just listen to music all the time. They, what are the other examples of you see lots of people saying all the time, oh yeah, black on black crime. It's their fault. There's something wrong with them. There's moral deficiency. Their culture is the problem. Is one argument, right?
でこれに対して、2つの、考え方というか議論があるんですけれども、1つ目は、そもそも黒人が怠け者であって、暴力に関しても黒人対黒人の方が暴力が多いとか、彼ら自体のモラルに問題があるからだという議論があります。
Or, I think lots of kind of academics have come up with the term institutional racism to describe how it can also exist invisibly. So let's give an example I used about Japan. Instead of saying, oh, no foreigners, now you can say, oh, you need a hoshonin, a guarantor, right? who's Japanese, and then just makes the whole system very difficult. So it's still trying to disadvantage foreigners, but they're no longer saying foreigners. They're just using a different term. And I think that's very much how institutional racism works. And so I'll leave you to think about that in different situations.
で、2つ目の議論のポイントは、今はですね、目に見えないあからさまでない差別が増えてきているということです。さっきの部屋探しの件もですね、もう外国人だからダメですよっていうのようにはっきり言うことはないんですけれども、保証人がいないとダメですとかいう違う理由を何かしらつけて断られることが多いっていう目に見えない差別があります。
So I'll leave it there and we can talk about other stuff.
Yes, so I'll give examples of interpersonal racism here, and I'll just use this example of Heya Sagashi of looking for an apartment. Now they have Hosho Gaisha, companies that will guarantee that we can pay to be your guarantors. But I assure you that you can have a stable income, have all the papers they need, have a Hosho Gaisha, and everything that's on paper that the institution says that you need in order to rent an apartment, and the owner has every right to be like, no, just no. No excuse. Like, I've sat down with a realtor and he was on the phone. Literally, he had to describe me as Kokujin Jose to explain that the customer was Kokujin Jose to the realtor. The story ended with me not wanting the apartment, but I couldn't understand what that had to do with me wanting a place to live. I am working on paying taxes. It just didn't make sense. And there was nothing about that company. It was full foreigner-friendly company, real estate agency. You already have to choose those. And still, he needed to be on the phone. He felt uncomfortable, I could see it, but he needed to explain, Kokujin desu desu kedo. Yeah.
でちょっとアパートの探しについて引き続きたいと思いますが、次は内面化しているというか、個人の中に、組織的にはないけれど、個人の中に内在している差別についてです。で、私がアパート探しをしているときは、もうそもそも外国人に対してフレンドリーな会社を、使って探したんですけれども、それで、今保証人がいないのはダメだって話ありましたけど、最近はもう皆さん保証会社を通して部屋を借りると思います。で、私の場合保証会社もつけてきちんと、お給料も毎月あって税金を納めているという状態でもあるにかかわらず、書類上ではもう完璧なんですけれども、やっぱり説明するときにですね、オーナーさんに、説明をする際に、ちょっと黒人女性なんですけれどもっていうことを一言どうしても付け加えて、それでオーナーからすると オーナー個人の、裁量でその人は入れられませんということになりました。
And another example is with the teaching, English teaching field. I don't teach English, I don't like teaching, but I've had many friends. We've seen plenty ads that will ask for white natives.
Yes.
Like, yeah, I mean, I don't think I need to go further. You all understand how this that doesn't make any sense at all.
Yeah.
But you will see somebody explicitly say they want to learn English from a white person. Yeah.
もうこれは本当に深い説明をする必要もないと思うんですけれども、外国人だと、日本で英会話を教えている人が多いと思うんですが、英会話の先生を募集する、募集要項ですね、にもそこにはっきりと、白人の英語のネイティブスピーカーが欲しいというふうに書かれています。
And then the last example is also a lived experience. I've lived in a dorm with plenty of foreigners. I was the only black person, and I kid you not, like every account of I'm a clean freak. Like I don't like seeing hair in my shower or anything like that. But I promise you, every account of infringement to the cleaning rules or to the security rules, anything like that, 外国人の学生は気をつけてください。Yeah. And I was the only 外国人学生。
で、他に、ちょっと例として、一時期、寮に住んでる時もあったんですけど、寮のルール、私はすごい潔癖症なので、に近いぐらいすごい綺麗好きなんですけれども、寮のルールで、綺麗にしてくださいみたいな、掃除に関するルールに関しては、特に外国人の学生は気をつけてくださいっていう言葉が必ず入ってました。
So if you're wondering what interpersonal racism is, it's basically every negative kind of thoughts and biases you have towards people simply because of the color of their skin without any other reason. And I think we're all in part maybe guilty of it, but other races I think forget to check themselves. So it's just an exercise to do on a daily basis. Ask yourselves if you're holding any negative thoughts towards somebody simply because of the color of their skin.
本当にこれは自分の中で本当に肌の色っていう理由以外に何もないのに肌の色っていう理由だけで何かしら相手にネガティブな思いとか考えを持ってるってことがあれば自分の中でも確認してみてください。
Okay, and for internalized racism, my understanding of internalized racism is that when you have an oppressive person, someone who's racist, and they're specifically obviously talking about, racist things, and then you have, for example, a black person who hears these things, and they start to believe it. They start to believe it, and so it causes psychological damage to one's well-being, which is internalized racism. This person will believe what white people are saying about them, believing that black people are ugly, black people are lazy, what have you, and then they'll start to believe it themselves. So internalized racism, it goes deeper and go ahead, you can do that.
So are you saying it's even internalized in one person?
Yeah. Okay. Let me finish and then Okay. So yeah, it's internalized within black people. And it goes beyond like self-hate or like a self-esteem issues. It expands out to other people. So that black person who internalized that racism will now portray it out onto other black people and put other black people down as well.
でこの内面化している人種差別っていうのはですね、白人が持ってるとか黒人以外の人が持ってるだけでなくて、そういう人たちが言う黒人に対するネガティブなことを黒人自身も話を聞いてるうちに信じてしまって自分に対するですね、自分が嫌いになってしまったりとかいう思いが強くなり、それをさらに自分の周りの人にも投影してしまうということがあります。
And I was recently reading an article this past week about internalized racism, and I came across someone who had this experience. It talked about a story of a black man who watched another black man get hung and burned. This is back in the 20s, 30s, a long time ago. And for that person to see that, and for him, he didn't want to be that black person. He didn't want that to be him. So he internalized that racism and was like, wow, yeah, like black people are bad, like if we end up like this, yeah, obviously we're bad. Like I have to side with the whites, and I have to make sure that I do not put myself in the back of these types of issues. I need to be on the front where I am talking badly about other black people so that more people will believe the things that I'm saying. So that was a really stark, example of internalized racism that I thought had really detrimental effects.
でこの内面間差別についてすごく、割とすごくショックな記事を最近読んだんですけれども、1920年、30年代にですね、ある黒人が、リンチされて首から吊り下げられているのを見た他の黒人の人がですね、その状況を見て、そういうふうに吊り下げられるんだったら本当に我々、黒人は悪い人なんだっていうのを信じ込んでしまって、で自分はそういうふうになりたくないっていう思いが強かったので、自分はその悪い人たちと一緒になるんではなくて白人側の味方につかなければというふうに信じ込んで、黒人に対する悪い噂を流したりとか、そういうふうに、言ってしまったという例があります。
And for anyone who's into pop culture, comedy and stuff, Dave Chappelle, Boondocks, they had, what's his name? Clayton Bixby and like Uncle Ruckus. I think those were two examples of internalized racism where they were black and they were believed that they were in the KKK, self-hating, anti-black completely, but they're black as ever. You know, so, but they actively went out of their way to put other black people down, to talk about black stereotypes and to other people so that their knowledge or their beliefs, which what white people believed, were the truth. Clayton Bixby. Clayton Bixby is a character on the Chappelle Show. It was a character that he played.
Okay.
And then Uncle Ruckus, no relation.
ちょっとTV show ちょっとテレビとかのですね、キャラクターでクレイトン・ベクスビーという人がいたんですけれども、彼とかは本当にもうそうなってしまったすごい分かりやすい例なんですけれども、もう本当に彼はアンチブラックで、もう KKK にもジョインしてしまうぐらい、本当にもう自分のことが大嫌いで自分の人種が大嫌いというような人でした。
So now that we have a better understanding of the dimensions of racism, I urge you all to do your own research, ask yourself, where am I lacking? What have I not seen? Do I maybe have internalized racism myself? And yeah, I hope that was like a better understanding. So again, you can ask questions also on Slido. Code is E209, and we're going to answer. They're going to answer some of the questions the people here and online ask. So maybe one of you could answer one of the questions. So
これからちょっと、オンラインのスライドからの Q&A に移りたいと思います。
So the first question is, what changes is Japan making to ensure Black people do not face discrimination? Is this a problem that needs to be addressed in government to be taken seriously?
で日本の国として、黒人が差別を受けないために何かしていることはありますでしょうか？あとです。何をするべきだと思いますでしょうか
？I think we're all just laughing at that question, right? Anybody wants to try it? Anybody wants to try? Go, Lily.
I actually don't think, for Japan's case specifically, I think it has to come from the people. I'm sorry. I don't think it's gonna be from the government. I think it really has to come from individual behaviors on a day-to-day basis from this younger generation. And as they gradually get up there and they get roles of responsibility, hopefully they will try to make any change in the laws that are intentionally damaging to Black people. But I do not see any way the Japanese government can just enforce. I'm sorry, I just don't. I think we all know how hard it is here. So I am more concerned about what the everyday Japanese people that I interact with are doing than what the government is gonna do. Sorry.
日本に関しては、政府が何かするとか政府に頼るっていうオプションは、ないかなと思っています。それよりも大切なのは私たち一人一人の個人、特に若い世代の人たちが日々の中でどういうふうに変えていくかっていう方が重要だと思います。
In terms of Japan, I think there needs to be a real reflection about Japan's interactions with its neighbors in China and Korea and Southeast Asia. I think for Japan, that is something that really needs to be, hopefully this discussion about racism in the US and other countries can now be had here in Japan about kind of more closer to home issues.
で日本に関して言えば、この最近こうやって人種差別の問題が、話題に出ていることによって他の国のことを他の国の状況を見ることによって日本の、中国とか韓国と隣国とですね関係を考えてほしいなと思います。
We have one question from the audience.
Yes, a question that goes into the same direction, and it's about structural racism in Japan. And actually, it's probably less a question to the panelists, more a question to the Japanese in the room.
That's a nice one. Yeah.
Or you want Japanese people to answer the same question?
I think it is more a question relevant for the Japanese people in the room than actually the panelists.
ちょっと今の質問に関しては日本人の方が答える方がいいかなと思うんですけれども。
Because I actually disagree with that. It's the people who need to change in Japan. It's the media and the big corporations.
私の個人的な見解ですと、個人一人一人が変わるというよりも、日本のメディアとかですね。大きな大企業も変わっていかなければいけないと思っているからです。
So structural racism in Japan sometimes almost can feel naive. I give you an example. Naomi Osaka signed with Nissin, and they created a manga-style TV commercial featuring Naomi Osaka, and they whitened her skin in the TV commercial.
Yeah.
Now my question probably to the Japanese people in the room is, if you would expect from someone like Naomi Osaka, who probably is the most influential Black Japanese person at the moment, if she should speak up more loudly.
で日本の一つの例を出しますと、テニスプレーヤーの大坂なおみさんが、日清の広告に出たときに、広告の上で、彼女の肌の色を軽く薄くしたって問題がありました。でなんで日本では確実にある問題で、大坂なおみさんは、日本の中では多分一番現在影響力のある、黒人とのミックスだと思いますので、それについて日本の皆さんどう思うか、どなたか。
Would anyone here in the audience would like to answer or give a comment?
それで彼女がこの問題についてもっと日本の中で声を上げるべきかどうか、どう思うか教えてください。
Actually, can you maybe come to the middle part so we can see you?
Yeah.
It's coming from. Yeah. And probably here. It will feel like court, but.
Yeah. That's my favorite. Yeah.
So you can sit there.
Yeah. So you can sit there. Yeah. Give me the mic. Mic. That's mic. Yeah, it goes to speak out loud.
Oh, I see. Well, I think Japan needs a very deep educational reform that will touch Japanese people's heart in a very psychological way, in a sense too, because we see a lot of things on TV. Like I said, those news are feeding us this information from the United States, who has more wealth than Japan, right? And but when you look at the numbers, it's really crazy because Japan spends 1,600 million yen for Department of Education every year. and the same amount of money goes to the military. We don't have a military, but National Guards, so that we can have that safety from the United States, because we're paying for the American military. So that amount of money going towards these things, and I don't want to put a company on blast, but there's like a super big companies in Japan that get some $2 billion. No, 2 billion yen last year. They made 2 billion yen last year, and they de-taxed 5,000 million yen. That's a lot more money than what those department needs. And that's how the money is working in Japan. I kind of looked it up yesterday, and also that's the type of thing that we have to, change. That's the type of power that we have to go against. But we also have to realize that they spend that 5 million yen to places like a research group for medical, medical research groups, and like a technological, like a developments. So people who work in that kind of field would have to face the fact that their wages gonna go low. So that's where Japan stands when it comes to what can we do in our education. And that's just as blunt as it can get. そうです。なんか日本の今現状としてあるのが、日本の文科省に1600億円が使われるっていうふうになってて、で防衛省にも同じぐらいのお金が渡ってる。でその防衛省はそのお金がないと、アメリカからのこの平和協定っていうので成り立たない、日本がこう危険な場所に侵されるっていうのが現実としてあって、それに対してなんかトランプさんはもっとお金出せとか言ってますけど、ですごい日本にある大企業が例えば2兆円とかいうお金を稼いでても、減税とかで、5000億円とかいうのお金を減税してるんです。そのお金を、教育省とか日本教育省とか文科省とかに渡すことも現実としてできるんですけど、その5000円っていう減税を受けることによって医療とか技術の向上もすることができるんですね。でそういった環境で働いている人たちが今より低い給料で良くなるかって言ったら、それもそれで難しいことだと思うんです。だからそのぐらい大きいレベルでこの戦いをしていかなきゃなっていうのが一つ頭の中に入れてていいことかなって思います。
So just to come back to like the starter, I kind of understand Thomas, and I actually understand Uli as well. I think where Uli was coming from is really about there can only be real change on a daily basis. I think change is a lifestyle. Let's just face it. It's the same when you're trying to lose weight. It's the same when you're trying to, get the 5 apps. Is it 5 apps? 6 apps? How many apps does people have? 6 apps. I'm so sorry. Now you know. 6 apps, It's the same when you want to go to school. It's the same when you want to pick up, a different diet. It's the same when you want to start saving money. It's always, it's your day-to-day actions that actually cause change, long-term change. So I think that is Uli's standpoint. Now, I also 150,000% agree with Thomas. Why? Because I worked in publication as well. And I know for a fact that when you work with magazines and when you work with media is the... Okay. Media is the main reason why, for example, again, I can only talk for Africa because I'm from Africa, but media is the main reason why people think, when they think Africa, they think a kid who is crying with snort coming out from his nose and a flame going up the other nostril, you know? Or why people think there's constantly war and famine and drought and kids who look like skeletons. That is media's, the result of bad media.
でちょっと最初の、議論に戻りますと、ウリさんとトーマスさん両方多分両方の個人のライフスタイルを変えなきゃいけないっていう議論とそれよりもマスコミメディア企業が変えていかなきゃいけないと両方本当だと思います。でまずウリさんが、言われようとしてたことはやっぱりこう何を変化を何かしらについて起こすときですね、まずダイエットとか貯金とか、そういうことでもやっぱり日々の本当にちょっとしたライフスタイルを変えていかないと根本が変わっていかないという論点だと思いますので、それも本当にそうだと思います。そしてトーマスさんがおっしゃってたのは、私も、実際に以前マスコミ業界で働いてたのですごいよくわかるんですけれども、これも本当にすごく同感します。で、私は個人的にアフリカ出身なので、アフリカに関して言うと、アフリカっていうイコールお腹が大きくなって肺に囲まれてる飢餓状態の子供とか戦争ってイメージは明らかにもうメディアが作り上げてるからそういうイメージが人々の中に植え込まれています。
And that's why I completely agree that media has such a huge role to play and has a way of painting an image that can either stay or go, you know, and that's why I agree with Thomas. Actually, that is where it starts. It's obviously with us on a day-to-day basis, how you treat your own Black friends, how you treat your friends of color, how you treat your colleagues of color, how do you act with them, and then obviously there's the media. I think there is work to be done on both sides and equally so, but obviously because media plays such a huge role. I mean, we had the situation with NHK, right? That Lord have mercy. Don't even get me started on that thing. But yeah, we have that. And those are the things that actually have to change. So I completely agree with you. I think it's actually a point that is pretty much similar. It's just in different directions. Yeah, that's all I have to say.
本当に両方大切なんですが、おそらくですね、おそらくというか確実にこういうのは、悪影響というのはメディアからまず始まる。最近の本当に NHK の例がすごくいい例なんですけれども、そこから始まって、人々の日々ですね、黒人の同僚とか友人に対してどういう態度を取るか、どういうふうに関わっていくかというところにつながっていると思います。なので、両サイドから動いていくっていうのが大切だと思います。
Thank you. So again, I'm sorry to be late. You can all join on Slido.com conversations. There are a lot of questions. People are having a conversation there, and you can all join and be part of it and ask questions as well. So the next question from our audience online and offline is for Seiko. You mentioned growing up in Cameroon, you felt more integrated.
Yes.
Could you share examples and what ways?
Okay. In what ways I felt integrated?
Yeah.
Okay. So in Cameroon, what I meant by integrated was, like I mentioned before, we had influence from Portugal, Germany, France, and Britain. Thank you very much. But we actually to be honest, we met lots of missionaries, lots of whites, lots of people from different countries. But like I mentioned, and Kenji can testify, growing up, we knew they were white, but we didn't really think like they're different or better than us. We never grew up with that kind of mentality. And back home in Cameroon, yes, you have interesting names like, rotten banana and, half-baked cookie and, chinchon, names like those, because they think, you're different. Obviously, they'll give you those names. But do they treat you any differently? No. But when I came to Japan, my name is Seiko. A lot of people who know that I also do gigs and I sing sometimes would ask me, is that your stage name? Excuse me? It's my real name. People would look at me and think, oh, are you really Japanese? You don't really look like us. Your hair is kind of, it's black, and it's kind of, what's the word?
Nappy curly.
Yes, they wouldn't even say nappy abby. But anyways, they would describe me as completely different from them. And that's the first time in my entire life that I felt different. I think that's the first time that I kind of struggled with my identity, and it made me so rebellious to a point where even when introducing myself, I'd just say, I'm Cameroonian. Because I was tired of explaining my other half. I was tired of explaining like, yeah, blood mixed and DNA mixed, and that's why I came out this way. What do you want me to say, you know? I can't explain why my hair isn't straight. I can't explain why my skin isn't lighter. I can't explain why, you know, my name is Seiko. You want me to give you my African names, you might not even be able to pronounce it. So, you know, that's pretty much what I meant.
質問がですね、カメルーンでは、いろいろ、多様性がある中でみんながうまく共存していたということなんですけれども、それの、例を教えてくださいという質問でした。で、カメルーンはですね、歴史的にポルトガル、ドイツ、フランス、イギリスっていう4カ国からの影響を受けているので、すごいいろんな国の宣教師の人がいたりとか、そういう人と日々触れ合うことが多かったんですけれども、そういう人たちに対してなんか彼らの方が優れてるとか、なんか私たちすごい違うなっていうことをあんまり感じることがありませんでした。で、それが、道を歩いてたりとかすると、中国人だったらこうチンちゃんって呼ばれたりとか、こうなんか言葉として、なんかなんていうんですかね、差別的な呼びかけっていうのをすることはもちろんあるんですけれども、実際にその人対人とのコミュニケーションでなんか違う風に取り扱われるってことはありませんでした。で、それがガラッと変わってしまったのが日本に来てからで、日本では私はカメルーン人の日本人のハーフですって言って、名前は聖子ですって言っても、なんか明らかにも外見が黒人、アフリカ人というふうに見られるので、なんか聖子ってそれなんか芸名ですかとか聞かれることがありました。で、もうそれを説明するのは私は疲れてしまったので、もう日本とカメルーンのハーフっていう説明をするのはもう諦めて、今はもう私はカメルーン人ですとだけ説明しています。
That has changed. I do say I'm half now, so I've been healed. Yeah.
今はちょっとそこ今はちゃんと説明するようにしてます。
Okay, thank you. So another question. One of you could answer that. Dress and cornrows worn by Japanese. Any thoughts? dress and cornrows.
Japanese people.
Yeah, worn by Japanese people. Any thoughts on that?
日本ではいわゆるアフロヘアって呼ばれてると思うんですけども、日本人がその髪ヘアスタイルをしてることについてどう思いますかっていう質問です。
And the audience wants to.
Please, this is a conversation. So
everybody can answer that question.
Yeah.
Please come forward.
Please feel free.
Anyone wants
to preach for us? No preachers?
No thoughts on cornrows? Dreads? Yeah,
Cam.
Yeah.
So I think this question can open a debate on cultural appropriation, maybe. And I would like to ask a question for you about that. So what the panelists think of it, and maybe I'm half French, I'm half Senegalese, so maybe I can share as well my prospect back in France.
私はですね、セネガルとフランスのミックスなんですけれども、この今の話題、髪ヘアスタイルについては、カルチャルアプロプリエーションって英語で言うんですが、文化の盗用というふうに言われています。そのトピックについて、パネリストの皆さん、答えしてください。
So for having worn a kimono in Japan, I have nothing against trying out other cultures, beautiful aspects. I have nothing against that. It's when it's seen as ugly, non-professional, not appropriate in one culture, but then the different culture does it. It's seen as beautiful, exotic, or hip or cool, that I have an issue with it. And I think that's what I have a problem with in Japan, with Japanese people wearing braids and dreads, because for me to do it, it took me a year to let myself have my dreads, because I was worried about shukatsu. I was worried about looking for a job in Japan. Nobody said it out loud to me, but I know the looks. I know they're gonna look at it like, I don't think Okiyama is gonna like this, But this is how my hair grows. This is how it is. It took me maybe until last year to be able to go to work in a clothes like this, because it's too colorful. It's not the standard suit. It's not Japanese, But then how many Japanese artists do you know that are having braids, or they've been to Africa, they're wearing African clothing, and it's all fun and it's all cool, and it just doesn't make sense to me. Why is my culture cool when you use it, but then when I use it, it's not up to your standards?
Preach.
Basically.
Yeah. Drop the mic.
She's not really mad.
で文化に関してはですね、私ももちろん着物を着てみたりとかすることもありますし、なんか他の国の人の文化をなんていうんですかね、セレブレートしてすごくいい意味で使うっていうのはすごくいいと思うんですね。ただ私が問題に思うのは、ある一定の人がその格好をした時には美しいって思われるのに、違う人がした時にはそれはなんかこう汚いとか思われるっていうことがあります。で、また私個人的に言えば、私の髪の毛この状態でいることが自然なんですけれども、この状態で日本で住むっていうところの決意に至るまで1年くらいかかりました。それは最初就活してる時にこの髪型だとおそらく職が得られないっていう心配もあったんですけれども、あと今仕事をしてますけれども、彼女が着てるタンクトップみたいにアフリカの布のデザインの洋服を着るにもすごく勇気がいりました。で、今はこの同じ布のデザインの服を日本人の女性が着てたら、それなんか素敵だねとかって言われるのに、自分が着てるとなんかアフリカ人だみたいに言われるっていうのは、それはどう考えてもおかしいと思います。
I just want to add something on appropriation. Now imagine if we started saying that for example, dreadlocks or cornrows is a Japanese culture. They invented it. Because when they use it, it's so cool. Okay. And this is something that we should think about in terms of other examples of where things originate from. So if we think about rock music, rock and roll music, often we think of people like Elvis Presley or the Beatles and all these, or I don't know, the Police in terms of, I guess, Sting, and these are all bands that are quite popular in Japan, right? Or Queen and all of these. But if we think about the origins of rock and roll music, it was in the United States from the black community.
Yes.
And so this history has been hidden in a way. It's been appropriated and taken away from this group of people. So when we think about this culture, we don't associate it with black people. And this is something which happens across civilization. Black people or those of color aren't the originators of civilization or inventions. We are there to just help other people create civilizations. So I guess I would encourage all of you to really look into the histories of lots of different things and see if you can find other places that they've originated from. And in that sense, appropriation has a broader meaning rather than just about what we see of people wearing certain hairstyles or clothing. It's about culture and history itself. It's also about the appropriation of land, the appropriation of resources and different things like that. So we can even broaden the discussion of appropriation, the way we think about it.
で文化の盗用っていうことについてなんですけれども、例えば音楽で言いますと、ロックミュージックっていうと、おそらく皆さんエルビス・プレスリーとかビートルズとかクイーンとかを思い浮かべると思います。ただロック音楽は実際に本当に歴史、起源をたどると、本当はこれアフリカ系アメリカ人ですね。アメリカの黒人のコミュニティの、音楽でした。それなのに、そこの歴史の部分ですね、文化の起源のところは、ある意味削除されて、もう人々の記憶にないわけです。でそういった意味で、文化が盗まれている。で、髪の毛について言えば、例えば日本でドレッドヘアっていうと、まるで日本人が思いついたヘアスタイル、考えたヘアスタイルみたいな取り扱われ方をしています。そういった意味で、この元々の起源が無視されているっていう時が、盗用になり、それは文化だけでなく土地
に関しても、土地の所有権に関しても同じことが起きています。
So I would just want to add something regarding cultural appropriation. It's fine to appreciate a culture, especially when it's Black culture, because it shows awareness, etc. But with appreciation, you have to also understand the burden of being Black in this world. And it's nice, yeah, you like dressing like an African whatever, but you need to understand what is the struggle of being Black. So this is the thing, you can appreciate the culture, but also understand how the culture happened.
Exactly.
Right now in France, we have kind of debate regarding of bringing back the artifacts of Africa back to the countries. Something happened in Senegal with a sword, right? And it wasn't even the sword of the religious chiefs. They made a mistake. They didn't even give back the proper sword. So this is a conversation that we need to have still. Thank you.
文化に関しては文化を楽しむっていうのはいいんですよ。アフリカ布のデザインの洋服を楽しむとかそういうことはいいですし、ブラックカルチャーを楽しむっていうことはいいんですけれども、そこの楽しむことはするのにその起源元にあるストーリーですね。そしてそのコミュニティの人が、日々どういうことに向き合って生きているかっていうのを理解せずに楽しむとこだけしてるっていうのはちょっとおかしいかなと思います。で最近フランスの例で言いますと、アフリカから、持っていかれてしまった美術品とかですねが今フランスの美術館からアフリカに返却されているということがあります。で例えば、刀ですね。刀が、あるアフリカセネガルから盗まれた刀がフランスの美術館に飾られてるんですけれども、それを飾るってところはいいんですけれども、その刀にまつわる起源が、これはこのある宗教のリーダーが持ってた刀ですとか、それは全く真実にないストーリーなんですけれども、フランスの方で勝手にそのストーリーを作り上げて美術館に飾っていたというのが問題でした。
Thank you. So, next question from the audience is, what do you think is the reason why racism is still a major issue?
でこの人種差別っていうのが今、この時代でもまだ問題になっている理由は何だと思いますか？
I don't think white people. Okay, wait. I don't think people who perpetuate racism have come to terms with their own history, with their own dark history. I think if we were to do that, there would be so much light on the issue, and you'd see through so many things and why racism is terrible. So, like, if you were able to, reconcile with your own history, then you can heal yourself. I think Warren, you said it earlier about like there's some type of moral compass that is mixed, it's just off, I think if you were to be able to come to terms with your own history, the history and the atrocities that white people have committed for centuries, thousands of centuries, you'd understand, okay, this is really a problem. So I'm glad now, actually, that because of this whole movement, there's a lot of global solidarity. I hope it's cool. Yeah, because there's a lot of global solidarity, I'm finding that there are a lot of, people coming to terms with this, and people that are sharing information and doing these things because they're also tired of racism as well. But yeah, coming to terms with your history.
でですね、差別、人種差別がまだ起きてるっていう理由の大きなところにあるのは、差別している側ですね、優位な立場にいる人たちの側がそもそも自分たち、特に白人なんですけれども、自分たちの先祖が何世紀も続いてしてきたことに対して、罪悪感を抱いていて、そこ自分たちが行ってきた、暗い歴史に関して自分でも受け入れられていないというところにあると思います。なので、今このタイミングで、世界的にこの問題 に対して、世界中にから団結しているのはすごくいいなと思いまして、これによって差別する側も、受け入れる、認めて受け入れるっていうことで、問題解決につながると思います。
I wanted to add something. So, don't put your hands up, but how many people in this room are racist?
実際に手を挙げなくていいですけど、部屋の中で自分が差別する側だと思って手を挙げてください。
And then how many people in this room are sexist?
それは性別についてですね。性別によって差別をする人いますでしょうか？
And so we always like to think about racism as being the problem of someone else, right? But I'm the problem as well. Or with sexism as well, it's easy for me to say like Harry Weinstein, he's a bad guy, and Jeffrey Epstein, he's a bad guy. But I need to also think about the way I treat other women in my life and people I come into contact with. Do I have biases? Do I think their opinions are as valuable, or am I giving them the space to talk, or am I mansplaining and things like that, right? And so that's what I need to reflect on, and that's the same thing with racism as well. We need to reflect on how we've all internalized some aspect of it.
これは、人種差別も男女差別についても言えることなんですけれども、これを人ごと他の人がしていることだって思わずに自分事として考えることがまず大切だと思います。私自身も男性として他の男性が何かしたときにあの人は男女差別している男性だっていうふうに言うことは簡単なんですけれども、実際自分が周りの女性をに対してどう扱っているか、そういうことを一回自分の中でも考えてみることが大切だと思っています。
Actually, I have more to say.
More to say?
Yes, I have more to say. I also think a lot of people are really scared of relinquishing power. My understanding of capitalism, or my understanding of a lot of the way these systems are built, capitalism especially, is built off of either killing black and brown people or using them for free labor, and capitalism also, a byproduct of that is racism. So if you don't want the whole system to be gone away, you're going to continue to perpetuate these things so you can continue to have the operational efficiency to keep going for this system. So if you're not willing or ready to relinquish that power, and then you're going to keep doing it.
であともう一つあると思いますのは、そもそもこの人種差別っていうのはある一定の人たちを、利用するためですよね。例えば無償で労働させたりとか、ゆとり制度があったりとかして、そういうふうに使ってきた歴史があるんですけれども、そういう、下にされていた人たちに、パワーですね、権威ですとか権力っていうのがその人たちに戻ってしまうと、自分たちの立場が今度は脅かされてしまうんではないかっていう恐れを持っているっていうところも大きいと思います。
Thank you. So the next question is actually for the audience. So someone is asking what the Japanese audience has any question that they didn't feel comfortable asking about racism or the recent march of BLM in Tokyo. So do you have any questions you want to ask?
That's a good
で、日本人の方に特にお聞きしたいんですけれども、今回最近ですね、ブラック・ライブズ・マターっていうのが話題になっている中で、それに関して今まで質問してみたかったけれど、質問しにくかったことありますでしょうか？
Anyone? Any questions you wanted to ask for the world?
I have one.
Everyone? You want to come forward, please? There you are again.
Wow.
Sorry, that was different. I didn't mean that.
Sorry, I'm being nosy, but
You're good. You're good.
So we talk about cultural appropriation, right? And I saw how are all my friends on Facebook and Instagram, and they were saying how are y'all not saying anything when y'all wearing Jordan brands? But I saw the founder of Nike used to intern at Japanese shoe company, and also MPC was Akai, which was used for sampling, right? So I feel like the best.
So I think the people in the back there can't hear you. If you could just be a little bit louder.
Oh, okay, sorry. I was holding my mic wrong. So so I feel like the ideal example of like cultural appropriation is like a marriage of two very, very different people. Like you have like I can be Asian, this person can be black. I can have 4 legs, this person might have like 1 arm. I believe in, maybe Jesus, and this person might not believe in any religion. This person could be like vegan, I eat meat. But at some point, one has to break, right? When you think about it, because in order for us to have these conversations, we have to learn English. It's but you don't just say, oh, I don't like the way you cook your eggs. Like you gotta figure out what works out for both of them, and not profit or benefit from each other. So because it's like 2 people reading the same amount of history book and trying to come to the right answer that will work out for everybody. How can we do that like in a very, in today's very civilized world where money moves a lot faster than people's connections? Because I see more Starbucks in Japan than like green tea stand. It's like a little gentrification happening over here too. So how can we do that? Is what I've been thinking in my head.
Just a summary is fine, Eric.
Yeah.
最後何をできるようにすればいいの？
そうですね。今僕たちが住んでるこの環境の中でどうやったらそのお金の方が人の文化とかをこうなんか意識するよりお金の方が早く動いてるっていうのが事実としてあると思いますので、それに対してこうどうすればいいか。
いろんなちょっと例があるんですけれども、例えば今日本の中では、緑茶のお店よりもスターバックスの方が多いよねっていう話もあったんですけれども、今の世の中っていうのは、お金にある意味支配されてる部分もあって、お金の方が人の、文化とか考え方を先行してお金を引っ張っているところがあるので、そこも含めて、どう変えていけるかなっていうのを日々考えていますということです。
Thank you. So, a huge shout out and thank you to Eriko for translating.
Yes, yeah.
I think that's so at this time, we have 2 more questions. So one of my questions is, maybe one of you can answer. What do you think about reverse racism? So a white person say, but I experience racism as well. Or like a Japanese person, I experience racism as well. Could you please clarify your thoughts on that, and why that may be a bit questionable?
今ちょっと、次に出てきたのがリバースレイシズムという言葉なんですけれども、これは黒人がアメリカで経験している人種差別について話したときに、日本人の人が、でも私も日本人として他の国でこういうふうに差別してるよっていう返答をするっていうのがなぜ問題かについて話したいと思います。
I don't think this is gonna be an answer actually, because we're all still learning. And this is one of the questions I myself struggle with. I just want to quickly maybe try to answer his question earlier. I think he's trying to ask, he was asking, how can you integrate somebody's culture into maybe your economic, your business or something without offending them. And I think the answer is just to listen and to integrate them. Like, don't go make an NHK video about what's happening in the US without asking any black person. It's as simple as that. If you are curious about a question and you don't have full authority and full knowledge about it, go find the person and ask them. That's why people do market research, and that's why people go on, trips to find out about a certain place. Ask questions. Nobody is fully knowledgeable of everything. About this question of reverse racism. I honestly don't know why it's called reversed, because it's just racism. It's just the same, the definition stays the same. You're holding some negative stereotypes toward a certain group of people because of internalized bias. And I don't think any of us speaking out for racism against Black people are saying that it's okay for a Japanese to be racist against a European or a white American. That's not what we're saying at all. We want all people, including Black people, to be treated equally. So coming to us and asking that question, I feel like it's a way to just change the conversation, to take off the topic from what is being done to Black people and shifting it maybe towards what you feel more comfortable discussing. I'm not saying that, you know, other races are not experiencing discrimination. They probably do on a certain level, because that's just the world we live in, but I don't think this is the more time in history to discuss that. Yeah.
ちょっと先ほどですね、発言してくださった男性のが言いたかったこと、私がこういうふうに考えてるんですけれども、他の文化を取り入れるとき、特に経済活動、自分の国の経済活動に取り入れるときに、それをどういうふうにうまくできるかっていうところが彼の言いたかったポイントかなと思っています。最近の例で言いますと、例えば NHK が、アメリカでの黒人の人種差別について番組を作るんだったら、実際にそれを経験した人にまず話を聞きましょうという、そこの最初の、話を聞くっていうリサーチをするっていうところが、大切だと思います。で、リバースレイシズムに関しては、これ私、ちょっとまだ答えはないと思ってまして、多分みんなでこれから考えていかなければいけないことかなと思うんですけれども、そもそも、リバースって言葉が使われているってことに関して私はちょっとまだ理解できていなくて、どんな差別であれ、別に黒人に対しての差別だけでなくて、例えば日本人が他のアジア人とか、ヨーロッパ人に対して何かしらの差別を持っている。その方向性の差別でも間違っていることには変わりはないので、私はそこを、すごく強く思っています。
Yeah, please come to the front.
Alright, so good evening, everybody. My name is Lawrence. So I wanted to kind of touch base on two things that we talked about. Starting with kind of like adding to what Miles said earlier about how racism works with capitalism and stuff. You said it kind of affects it, but I actually think that capitalism is like 90% of what racism is. I think that if you look at the structure of how companies work, that it's all funded or founded off of racism in the first place. So I think that you need to take that mentality and you need to think about, you use that and you look at racism as like a hierarchy. So like white people are at the top and then Black people are at the bottom.
Yeah.
So when you say, when you look at something like that and you say, like if a white person were to say, I experienced racism too, it's a lot harder for us to kind of agree with you. Or the same thing from like somebody from Japan, because like in Japan, this is not a third world country. Like they have a lot of foundation here that's backed by white companies. There's a lot of white branches for certain like big name companies that are out here in Japan that are financed by Japanese people. So if they were to say that, because if you're looking at the hierarchy, like it can't work that way. It can't work it doesn't function the same way. So that's why you say, when you say, like as a white person or as an Asian person or somebody who's ranked higher in the hierarchy than a Black person, when you say, I experienced racism too, it comes off as just another blow because you don't know, because you've never been at the bottom. You've never been there, or you've never built stuff for somebody and never received reparations for it, or you've never been stopped by the cops based on your skin color or something like that. So it's a lot harder for us to, I guess, kind of sympathize with you the same way that we would somebody who's like from a dark skin person from Sweden or something like that. Because like if you look at hierarchy, they're very close. Like there's Black people and then there's like Indian people or something like that. Like they're closer, so it's a lot easier for us to like, okay, yeah, I understand. So I think people in these, non-third world countries need to kind of consider stuff like that. That racism is not parallel, but it's more of a hierarchy. And yeah, so.
That's a good point. Yeah.
Thank you.
So, he actually has to translate. Sorry. No, it's okay. You're good. You're good.
さっきマイルスさんがおっしゃってたことに関連するんですけれども、やっぱり、人種差別が資本主義と深く関わってるっていうのは本当にその通りだと思います。実際に多分人種差別の原因の 90% は資本主義じゃないかと思うぐらいです。例えば、あと人種の中でも上下関係があって、その白人が一番上で、黒人が一番下だとしたら、その日本人っていうのはどちらかというと白人に近い方に上下関係にいます。で、日本の社会、経済社会としても日本の企業の多くはもともと白人が作った企業を日本で運営しているという形の企業が多いので、そういう位置にあるにもかかわらず、その上下関係の中で上にいる人が下にいる人に対して私も人種差別受けたことあるよっていうのは、おかしいです。で、その上下関係の中で例えばその同じぐらいのレベルにいる人っていうのはもうちょっと共感しやすくて、例えばインド人と、黒人だと、もう少しその同じぐらいの位置にいるので共感がしやすいということです。
Yeah. So just real quickly to go off what Lauren said and what everybody shared, I think I saw this tweet which is very straight on point and I think would just summarize the whole thing, saying we're not saying only Black Lives Matter. Again, this is not something we're saying. Obviously, we all lives matter. That's just the truth. And you claiming the whole, but I've been, I have situations of racism too. It's just like shouting, it's just like someone having a birthday and you shouting, I have a birthday too! It doesn't make sense. It's not about that. And at the end of the day, it's about listening. Sometimes all we need to do is listen. We can't always all be talking at the same time. There are seasons for everything, there are moments for everything, and I think the biggest mistake we make as human beings is that we are so selfish sometimes and so self-centered that we cannot even pause for 5 seconds and listen to what the other person is experiencing. At that moment, it's not about you. It's actually just sitting down and saying, you know what, I can't even start imagining what you're experiencing, but I'm here to listen. That's literally all we need from you right now. It's that simple. That's all I'm going to say.
で、先ほどのことですね、その人種差別について、私もこうだったっていうのは、例えばもう、私今日誕生日なんだって友達に言った時に、私も誕生日なのっていうのと同じことですね。なんかこう、自分の経験を上にかぶせてくるっていうことだと思います。で、ブラックライブズマターっていう今、ムーブメントがある中で、黒人だけじゃなくて全ての人種が大切なんじゃないかっていう、議論がよく出てくるんですけれども、もちろんこのムーブメントはその黒人のみが大切って言ってるわけではないです。ただ、他のLost my place.
It's okay.
Can you explain my idea? Sorry.
Yeah. It's pretty much, it's just simple. It's about listening to the person at that moment and trying to understand what they're going through. It's not about you, it's not always going to be about you. And I think the mistake that we make as human beings is that we don't actually take time to listen. We're always trying to be, but me too. Oh, you know what? My boss told me I did. Oh, but my boss told me I did well too. Just take 5 seconds and say, congratulations, you did actually really great. And I that's amazing. I encourage you as a friend, And that's the same thing like I said about the birthday. Everybody has a birthday. We're not denying you weren't born. We're just saying it's my birthday, So don't stand up and say, I have a birthday too. You just look dumb, At the end of the day, just listen. That's all we're saying.
でこれに、その誕生日のことに関しても人種差別に関しても共通して言えることは、全てのことを、自分のことばっかり話すんじゃなくて相手の話を聞きましょうっていうことで、別にブラックライブズマターって言ってるからって言って他の人が大切じゃないって言ってるわけじゃないので、そういう、自意識過剰というのか、そういうところは違うかなと思います。
Thank you. So it's been already 2 hours, so this is like the last question. And it's for all of you. So
all of us.
And all of us, like everyone. So what are 3 things that each person in this room and online.
Let's just do one.
Oh, one?
Yeah, because there's not much time.
Oh, yeah, one. Let's do one. As individuals at home, work, or communities to advance the understanding of race and privilege and its role in social justice issues. What's the call of action you would advise for an authentic allyship?
今、最近ですね、よくアライシップとかアライっていう言葉を聞くかなと思うんですが、直訳すると同盟っていう意味なんですけれども、一緒に同じ、仲間というか、仲間になって戦うっていう、同盟する本人じゃない人たちの立場として、個人的に何ができるかと思いますでしょうか。
Reparations. I know everyone can't dish out hundreds of thousands of dollars to every single black person that they see. I'm a business owner, and I believe that one way that you can, yes, that's my shirt, you can see my stuff back there, Shea Butter t-shirts, support black businesses. I think that's one way to show allyship, that you're willing to invest in other people's work and other people's ideas, their minds, their creations, to let them know that your work also is important. So that's mine.
で解決方法はお金だと思います冗談なんですけれども、別にそんなみんな、世界のみんながこんな黒人一人ずつにそんな数億円あげるってお金を持ってないのは分かってます。ただ、日々の中で、私個人も自分のビジネス持っていますけれども、そういうビジネスをサポートするとか、そういう形でもサポートできるかなと思います。
I think my one call of action would be to brace ourselves, because it's gonna get uncomfortable before it gets better. If you're a black person and you're speaking out, it's gonna get uncomfortable, because I think we've invented a new fake positivity, which is like you don't complain about anything at all. Like if you have any sort of privilege, you should be eternally grateful for that, and you should have no complaint whatsoever about what's going on in the world, and I absolutely hate it. So the minute you start speaking out about something, somebody is like, but you're not even in that position, why do you have something to say about it? And that's a very nasty feeling to have. That's a nasty thing to say to somebody. So brace yourself that when you speak up, somebody is gonna say, there's gonna be naysayers. If you are a non-black person, you're gonna find discomfort is what has been perpetrated by your race or your sex or your gender or your skin color to other people, and you might feel I wish I wasn't, part of this. And you're not part of it because you did it, but you're part of it because it's part of your history and part of the other person's history. So we need to get comfortable with discomfort until this whole thing goes away.
ですごく大切だと思うのは、こういった会話をする、このトピックについて話すことを、なんていうんですかね、すごく、言いにくいとか、その罪悪感があるとかっていうのはあるんですけれども、その部分を取り除いていくのが大切かなって思います。で、それを全くネガティブなものがないっていうふりをして、自分は特権を持ってるから何も困難に直面することがないっていう、それはそれで間違いだと思うので、そういうことに罪悪感を抱いて、もう常にポジティブでいるってんじゃなくて、自分のことについても、きちんと話すっていうこと、それが悪いことじゃないっていうのを理解すること、そして、自分より下の立場にいる人がその人の問題を話したときに、別に自分が直接その人にしたことじゃない。で、先祖がしてきたことで、罪悪感あるかもしれないけど、そこの部分を取り除いてきちんと話を聞きましょうっていうことです。
A trend I've noticed recently is that, for example, this panel, an event, was organized by women. And the Black Lives Matter movement was founded by black women. And the Me Too movement was inspired by black women. And so there's obviously something going on there in terms of the role of women in society in promoting social justice. So as a man, I probably need to take a step back. But that's just something to kind of identify as an important trend in what's going on in the world. In terms of my own suggestions of how to be better allies towards specifically black people, it would be trying to experience blackness in a different way, because often it's only in negative ways. Because today we're like, oh yeah, we experience racism all the time, and like Seiko was saying earlier, on media you probably only see black people like being killed or potentially in crime situations, or if it's the case of the presentations of Africa, it's usually poverty. And so you probably really haven't ever like had a black like teacher maybe, or in my case in the university, I've never had a black professor. And do you see any black business leaders? And it's things like that, and linking to what Miles was saying, right? And so I think this links nicely to what we're going to be doing after, is seeing some black creatives experience blackness in a different way. It's not only like oppression. We've got some good stuff to offer as well.
ですね、女性のパワーっていうのはすごい強いなと思ってまして、別にブラック・ライブズ・マターのムーブメントもそうですし、今までに MeToo のムーブメントだったり、いろんなムーブメントって実は女性からが始めて世界に広げているものが多いです。なので、まずそこは素晴らしいですし、そこを意識するべきだと思います。そして、アライとしてできることの一つとしては、ですね、黒人の体験といいますか、黒人に関してそのネガティブな暴力であったりとか、人種差別を受けているとか、犯罪を良くするとか、そういうことではなく、ネガティブな視点だけじゃなくて、もっとポジティブなことを意識的に話すっていうところですね。例えば、自分の教授が黒人ですごい素晴らしい教授だったとか、この黒人のアーティストが作ってるアートがすごい素晴らしいとか、そういったもっとポジティブなことを話すっていうことも一つだと思います。
Simply put, if you love our culture, love us. It's that simple. If you're into rap, you're into blues, you're into reggae, you're into hip-hop, that comes from us. And for me, separating culture from a person doesn't make sense because it's one and the same thing. So just understanding that it comes from us and really understanding that that is us. You can't say like, yeah, I love ramen, but I love soba, but I hate Japanese. It's almost, it's like, that is Japanese, you know, you can't separate that. And also, I would just say, have an open mind, because I feel especially here in Japan, people think BLM, Black Lives Matter, anything that is Black lives is always in the US. No. That is an international thing. It's an international movement. And if you think, I know Japan has this very interesting God mentality when it comes to the US. It's almost like the US catches sneezes and Japan catches a cold, almost, you know? No, let's face it, it's the truth, you know? That's why they always say we want American teachers, not maybe if you're from South Africa, not really. America is top, you know, and the rest come after. You need to understand that this movement is global. Racism is something that is experienced everywhere. France is a very good example, you know? In Africa, in so many countries, imagine even the lack of technology, imagine how many people have not been filmed. Just take 5 seconds and think about that. And I really challenge you today when you leave to understand, open your mind to understanding that racism exists everywhere. We are part of it in a way, one way or the other you may refuse it, but it's the truth. And it doesn't end in the US. When you think about Black Lives Matter, it doesn't end in the US, it's not equal to the US. It's a global thing. Thank you.
文化とその文化を持ってる人、起源の人を分けるっていうのはおかしいなと思います。レゲエとかヒップホップの音楽が好きなのであれば、私たちのことも愛すべき。で、私が個人的に蕎麦が好きなんですけど、蕎麦は好きだけど日本人は嫌いっていうのがおかしいと同じくらいにそこを分けてしまうっていうのはおかしいことです。で、あともう一つ大切なのは、ブラック・ライブズ・マターの話が出たときに、もうちょっとオープンマインドに物事を考えて、これはアメリカの問題だけじゃなくて世界中の問題だっていうことですね、を考えてほしいと思います。
Thank you, everyone. So this we have some amazing PLC artists, Tag, Osman, and Emily, and obviously the company of Miles. If you want to support them, all the donations made goes to the artists today. So this is how we are trying to support our community, give back. And if you donate a bit. It's all up to you. You can donate as much as you want. follow them on Instagram, support the art if you genuinely like it, not because like you want to like be on board. Genuinely like exactly, it's not like no one's forcing you. So if you genuinely like the art, if you genuinely like Shea Butter, if you've never heard of Shea Butter, you're missing on something. Like big time. Go to Miles, educate yourself, ask what
Can
it
we
is.
just have actually the artists stand up so
Yes,
we can see
please.
them? Emily, Teg, and Usman, please come up. We can't see you, please come to you. Do a catwalk.
今日ですね、後ろに飾られてるアートとか商品を作ったアーティストの方4人がこの会場にいますので、ぜひ皆さんサポートしてください。
So yeah, thank you. That's all for tonight. Back to Kenji.
Okay, again, like all proceeds tonight will go to support the artists at the back. Please feel free to go down and see their artwork displayed. Please mingle and ask questions. I hope you guys have fun. It's a little quiet. I hope no one's sleeping. You guys have fun? Yeah, 2 hours cannot cover like this discussion because it's broad, and this is just the first of many events that I speak for myself, we'll be organizing. So the men will do something as well. So please keep in touch with all the people up here. I want to give a big shout out to Big shout out to Diana as well for her stage. And a lot of people behind the scenes like who make this in a very short time like possible. I give a shout out to a personal friend of mine, Alicia, who put the event on her page, took it upon herself to translate into Japanese and got bashed by some very opinionated Japanese people. You know, it takes a lot. It takes us in our daily work and in our daily lives to stand up against racism. So we appreciate like all of you for being here, for having this discussion. We appreciate our Japanese people in the house today for coming to learn, to share with us. And the drinks at the back. So thanks again for coming, and we love you all. Thank you.
And before we go to get some drinks, we really want to make this a thing. Like we said, 2 hours cannot cover it. Can I see you with a show of hands who would like this to happen more often, and conversations to be more open and more raw and real and honest and earnest? Amen to that. We're gonna do it. Thank you. Thank you for your support. Please go eat and drink.
Exactly.
All right, that's it.
Have fun.
Thank
Please
you.
enjoy the
Thank
artist
you.
at the end as well.
I know you.
Oh, thank you. Oh my goodness.